Hey everyone, so today we're here to talk about DreamSF and what it is, what it entails, what it all means. But before anything, I wanted to give everyone the chance to introduce themselves. I'll start just to break the ice. My name is Oli, pronouns he, they, she. I'm really okay with any of them as long as they're said with respect. And I'm placed at Oasis Legal Services in Berkeley, where I'm on the naturalization program. Evelyn?
Yeah, I'm Evelyn. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm placed at La Raza Centro Legal, where we also provide legal services. We have a workers' rights program, we have an immigration program, and a senior law and disability.
Hello, my name is Maria Garcia, pronouns she, her. I am currently a Jubilee Immigration Advocate, and we also do provide immigration services, specifically asylum and SIJS juvenile visas. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be here.
And I'm Ana Maria. I'm placed at the Women's Building. We are a little hub, so we have like different services that we can connect people to. So like legal services, we have the food pantry, and then the community resource center, which is where I'm placed.
Beautiful. I love to hear it. So before anything, we do kind of have to define what exactly DreamSF means. And on paper, we know that DreamSF is a paid fellowship opportunity for immigrant students and professionals looking for like that workforce, professional, and community building development that takes place over the course of 6 to 11 months with different San Francisco and Bay Area based immigration organizations. But beyond that, I really wanted to know, what does DreamSF mean to each of you? Because it's easy to define it on paper, but I feel like its impact is so much more than that descriptor. Maria?
Well, thank you. For me, DreamSF has been like an open door of many opportunities. It has given me sense of community also, and everybody that I have met ever since I started DreamSF, from the interviews to all the way coming close to the end, everybody has just been like family, and I just feel like I have like a new community that I can go to, that it's just gonna be permanent. So I think that's beautiful about me.
Yeah, for me, I think for me it just feels very full circle. I did not grow up in the Bay Area, but I have so much love for the Bay, and I kind of feel like I did grow up here a little bit since I left when I was 18, now 26, and my first apartment actually was right across the street from here. And so just reflecting back to when I was 18, when I first moved here, I was working in the restaurant industry. Now I'm doing the community resource center at the Women's Building, and I studied social welfare, so just wanting to work, within the community for the community. I think that to me, it just brings me full circle. This opportunity just means so much to me, specifically for the professional development part, but just having like that community that I feel like, will be permanent. It's very beautiful. I feel like it just reminds me of the power of myself and then the power of people as well. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it's also just like Maria. I think I've built a huge community around me with you guys. You guys definitely feel like family to me. And I feel like I've created so many friendships that I didn't know that I would create with you guys. It means community to me, and it also means an opportunity, like you said, an opportunity that it looked beyond my citizenship status, and it really just opened the door for me to explore my professional career. As you guys know, I'm a pre-law student, so it's been an opportunity for me to explore the legal field.
And I think it's interesting because, like, while we're recording here today, I feel like it's funny because we're in this spot where we're kind of at the middle, but kind of at the end. So what I really wanted to ask right now is sort of take it back to the beginning and start with that question of, what made you apply in the first place? I know that for myself, it was sort of a two-pronged answer where I applied, one, because I was about to graduate, and I'm not gonna lie, as an undocumented recent grad, which is what I was gonna be, I was like, what's next? There's not really anything for me, or at least it felt like it was for me until I found the DreamSF opportunity. And I knew that applying meant this is going to give me at least some sense of stability, especially since I'm transitioning out of like this one area where you have support in school. I'm like, now I need support somewhere else. And that place was DreamSF. And then the second part was really, I've been very in tune with who I am as an undocumented person for a while. But I think what I always lacked was finding a greater sense of community that wasn't just, my school's undocumented resource center or something like that. And so I think DreamSF really was a chance to see what it looks like to create that undocumented community when it's not just like being handed to you, or it's not already like a go-to space. Like, yeah, we were all going to be here, but it was up to us to really like build that connection like y'all have been mentioning. And I know that's like what motivated me. So I want to hear what motivated y'all. Ana Maria?
Yeah, I 100% agree with both of the things you mentioned, being a recent grad and especially the community aspect. As I mentioned, I didn't grow up in the Bay. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and so I feel like in general, nobody really wants to share their status, but especially in Pennsylvania, I just never came across any spaces where we would share that. Not until like I left Philly, I was sharing that with my other friends that's why I was leaving. But I just really wanted to be in a space where it didn't feel like, oh, I have to, now share this piece of information. It just feels very natural, and I wanted to experience that. But I really resonated with how you mentioned that you were also graduating. That to me was very intimidating. I was very much excited for it because, that's why I moved out here originally at 18. Now I'm 26.
So what made you apply for DreamSF?
So the main reason I wanted to apply was I definitely wanted to build undocumented, like a bigger undocumented community. I feel like actually a year ago is when I started meeting more undocumented folks at Cal specifically, and I just appreciated how safe I felt within that community, and I wanted to expand that. I feel like for the longest time, my status was something that I just didn't want to share, or I also it felt easier to not really acknowledge that part of myself, especially because growing up, my family or just people around me would tell me not to disclose that information. And so now as an adult, I'm really trying to just be more open with it, for myself, but also for others that may want to also share their status and just build community. But the main thing was building community. And on top of building community, I just really appreciated the fact that they offered professional development. I was working in the restaurant industry for like the past 6-7 years, and so I really wanted to transition out of that and have more of my free time, but also serve people just in a different way that felt more meaningful to me. And also, like you, Ali, I was graduating and just so intimidated about what I had lined up for me after graduating, especially because, everyone's talking about their own opportunities and what they're doing after. I feel like at Cal, there are so many people that already have those connections, and they knew exactly what they were going to do even like the year before graduating. So that was just really intimidating, not having something lined up. But I also didn't want to jump into the 9-to-5 40-hour work week. Just feel very intimidated by it, especially since I've just been working for so long now. I wanted to give myself just time to explore myself, do the things that I enjoy. Yeah, so just the intimidation of not having anything lined up after graduation, and then also being intimidated of jumping into like the big workforce and not having any of my free time. That was the big thing that pushed me.
Well, what made me apply to DreamSF, definitely that opportunity for me as a mom. I had already gone to school and studied and finished a career back in Mexico, and coming back to the US and noticing that all of that I could not reinforce here, and I could not work with what I had studied in Mexico because of my immigration status was frustrating for a long time. And being a new mom, I felt like that was it. like there was no more opportunities for me. So having the opportunity to, apply for DreamSF, which was like very weird because it just was an app that I got from a message from WhatsApp. It really just gives me a relief to know that it's not the end for anybody, that anybody can apply, and especially in having an immigration status. And I feel like that has been something for me that's like destiny telling me it's not over, and there's still a way to be educated and to help people that are like you in this situation. Yeah, I feel like it's been like a journey, but at the same time it's really nice. Like I love being able to be in this community and being able to apply for it, and not being scared of saying, well, I'm not as young, I didn't just come out of college, but I did it, and it's been like the best decision that I have made.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think both of your answers resonate with myself. For me, my story goes way back. I applied when I was a sophomore in college. I'm currently also at Cal. And for me, I had just finished an internship in a family law firm. I was always very attracted to family law. But the experience that I had was not really the best professional experience I could have gotten. I didn't feel like I was getting as much out of it as I could have. I don't know if that makes sense, but so I was very much looking for more professional experiences because, as I mentioned, I'm a pre-law student, and being pre-law, also just like being a student at Cal, comes with a lot of pressure to fill your resume, a lot of pressure to gain all these like professional experiences. And so I think motivated by like wanting to just get my hands on law, that was definitely the first part that spoke to me. I went to an informational session at Cal that actually prior fellows had held there. And I think first it was like looking at all the requirements. So like I think one of them is like being 18 plus. So I was like, okay, yeah, I checked that. The second one was like I think it was like a connection to the Bay Area, and I was like, oh, I checked that. So all like the prior qualifications, I was like, okay, like that's me, and that really speaks to me. And then later it was like, oh, what can I get from it professionally? It was also the community aspect, and I know we've mentioned that a lot. But yeah, I had, I think, one undocumented friend that I've just kind of now recently learned that they're undocumented, and so just going my whole life ignoring my undocumented status, for me it was like I finally wanted to like tap into that, or I guess just acknowledge that part of myself. And I knew that couldn't just happen by being surrounded by citizen friends, for me it was like creating a community of undocumented people by my side. And so yeah, a huge part of it was trying to be comfortable with myself and with that part of my identity by also fostering and nurturing relationships with other people that shared the same identity as myself. So that was one motivation. I think another huge one for me was I was very interested in, like I said, nurturing that part of myself. And I think for me, that part was by trying to explore immigration law. So initially when considering DreamSF, it was due to the prospect of getting involved in immigration law. And ultimately, I didn't end up in immigration law, as I mentioned earlier. All my work with La Raza Centro Legal is in our workers' rights programs. So I actually do a lot of labor law services, and I think for me, I just came up in with an open mind regardless. I did want to explore that, and that definitely did motivate me, but it was also like I was just content with getting any sort of professional experience that I could get, because I think all the skills that we're all gaining from all of our host sites are very much transferable, and I think you guys can agree. So I was honestly just content with whatever professional experience I could get my hands on. And so yeah, ultimately I was motivated by literally just looking at all the requirements and being like, yeah, that's me. Being confident in myself and in the skills that I did already have and the qualifications that I already had. And also just like, I think people on the other side of that, for example, the people that read our applications, like, or just employers in general, they can tell when someone really wants something. And I think I really wanted DreamSF. And I think they felt that, and I think I really poured that into my application. So yeah, just motivated by the community and the professional experience that I could get.
Yeah, and I think you queue up a really interesting question where you're touching on sort of the application process itself. And I think honestly the hardest part of getting into DreamSF, I think, is just starting the application. I don't even think that, the group interview or the host sites or the one-on-one interview were as daunting as just opening up that application and answering all those questions. So I sort of want to ask the two of you, what did applying look like for y'all, since Evelyn touched on it a bit?
Yeah, so for me, I actually also learned about this opportunity through a friend that was doing DreamSF a year before. And so they expressed to me that they could support me in case I needed that. So that was very great. I have a friend who's in the seminar now, and I think it was just very helpful having someone to sit there with me and do it, regardless of if they were applying or not. I think just having someone's presence with me is very helpful in doing that application. I will say I started it and then I put it away for a bit because I was still in school. But eventually when I sat down and I started writing like my responses, it just came very naturally, and it just, I don't know, once I started actually doing it, I felt like honestly relieved that I could talk about just my situation. And it just felt like something catered to me, that once I started realizing that and writing down my story, I was like, okay, like I just felt more comforted in finishing the application. Yeah, so I would say like support from others was very helpful. And then just because, yeah, just meeting all like the qualifications and writing about how my life has been impacted by immigration, I think eventually I just started writing everything down. So that's how the application process looked like for me. What about you, Lydia?
For me, it was I had like the imposter syndrome like around my head the whole time because of my situation. Like I said, I thought that was gonna be the end for me of having any type of opportunity to going back to school to studying. But when I started applying, I said, what can go wrong? So when I decided to apply, I was a little skeptical on maybe if I was the person that could fit all the requirements. I also was at the same time working hard and being a mother. So that kind of kept me back from like being fully excited about applying, but I applied anyways. So when I was applying, I had a lot of self-doubt. I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to get into the program, apart from like a lot of things in my mind that were in my life that were going on. But I went ahead and applied, and the process of it was very also fulfilling for me, because I felt like even though if I didn't get selected, I still got the courage to do it and to apply. I feel like that was very important, like stepping stone in my life, regardless of if I would get selected or if I would go through the next phase. I feel like regardless of that, I did it, and I feel that was a very important part of my life. And well, I can say now that I'm here, that I did it. So yeah, I would say that, like, to anybody, that it doesn't matter like what you are, where you are in your life. If there is the opportunity, don't hesitate to take it, because you'll never know.
And I sort of want to move to a different direction now with the conversation, specifically like looking at what it is that DreamSF has actually given us and provided us with. I feel like our cohort specifically, it runs the range of like careers and interests and backgrounds. I mean, here alone, like I know I have a background in community organizing and working with queer youth. Ana Maria mentioned social work. Maria, I know you had a promotora background, and Evelyn, you talked about pre-law and all that. And the person behind the camera helping us tonight is a tech person. So I sort of wanted to queue up, well, how has DreamSF sort of helped reinforce or inform your existing backgrounds? Like, what kind of transferable skills or knowledge have you been able to take away? I know that for me, as someone who was in the space of community organizing and organizing with youth, I always felt like there was a component missing for me, and it was being more fulfilled on the immigration aspect. I felt very happy with the work I was doing with the queer community, with youth, but I always felt like that immigration piece was just missing. So I think coming to DreamSF and jumping into immigration law, which is something I had zero clue about, no kind of skills with, or at least that I thought, and no kind of exposure to it before. And now that we're like a solid 6-7 months into the fellowship, I show up to work and I'm like, baby, tell me something. I got you. I'm an immigration attorney. No, I'm not. But I definitely feel like a lot more confident in my skills, and it's definitely been something that I've now started to consider as, hey, maybe my future career isn't in what I thought it was going to be. Maybe it's time to make a switch, and it's because of DreamSF that I was given that. So Evelyn.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, like you said, I always felt like unfulfilled. And I think for me, it was like I hadn't ever gotten the opportunity to have like super hands-on with the legal field. And I've been very, very grateful that at La Raza, I have a very strong support system with both the attorneys, Alejandra and Juan, and also a former fellow, Alejandro, who has been just incredibly supportive. Both attorneys have been like just always trying to make sure that I meet my goals within the organization. And also just like Juan has done an amazing job in trying to prepare me for law school by allowing me to get my hands on like case law and just like memos and just all these types of skills that you need for law school, like attentive reading. And I think all these skills I would have never encountered or fostered in another space. I also have a background in community organizing, specifically in labor law. So kind of being in an org that allows me to explore more of the legal aspect of that versus like community organizing. They're two various different things. I think you can attest to that. But so seeing the legal aspect of it kind of just opened my mind to there is a legal field dedicated to the work that I'm already doing. In terms of like my future, I still very much see myself going to law school, and I think having the support from the attorneys and just the community I've created at La Raza, I feel supported and motivated, and they always tell me how capable and they've just been like a great kind of propeller toward that. I still don't know if labor law is what I want to practice as a career, but I know that I do still want to be an attorney, and yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, before I did this fellowship, I did another one through College Corps. And it's basically like they match you up with another organization. I was at a high school in West Oakland, the only high school in West Oakland, Mac High School. And I had a great time there. I really love the community that I built up there, but I think similar to both of you, I believe, that immigration, or like, just like there was a little bit of unfulfillment there, and specifically because I wanted to get more hands-on with immigration and I wanted to learn more about immigration itself. Felt like even though I've been so affected by immigration itself. I just felt so ignorant to it still. But also having my background in social welfare, I wanted to do just more hands-on work. I also mentioned being in the restaurant industry for like the past 6-7 years, so I wanted to transition into something that was more relevant to what I studied. And yeah, being at the women's building has definitely reinforced the idea of getting my master's of social welfare. I feel like when I was graduating, getting my bachelor's, it was still just a thought, because I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm finally getting my bachelor's degree. And so now that I finally have my degree, and also just with the tools and the community I've built here at DreamSF, it's definitely reinforced the idea of pursuing my master's degree. Like it just feels more realistic now, like not mythicized anymore. And it's definitely just reminded me of how much I love being like within community and like working for community and by the community. So it's definitely just reinforced what I wanted to do, which is pursue social welfare and then just help the community in whatever way I can.
So for me, my experience, I've always loved to help people and serve people in my community, especially. So I believe that my host site at Jubilee, I get a lot of experience with that. Just taking like calls, like being an admin or just helping out people, like interpret. That has been like my main goal ever since I started the interpretation field. So I feel like helping out people that maybe English is not their first language, helping them out to communicate to either the attorneys or other services. I feel like that has been something that I have been getting more skilled at, and it's something that also leads me to want to go back to school and study like interpretation. For me, I think that it's like a pathway that it's like a safe pathway for me to continue my studies and eventually work. And yeah, I feel like I have gained a lot of skills through that. And so I feel like I also worked on my interpersonal skills at my host site. And in Mexico, I studied administration also. So I feel like a lot of that has helped me use it at my whole site, even though it's been quite some years of like not actually being in school, finishing school. But I feel like that has helped me to not be totally lost. And also the community and seminars and the check-ins really helped me to stay on track. And they also give me a lot of more skills so I can take them to my whole site and eventually out and about when I finish. So yeah, for me, definitely that would be. I'm still like working on the skills I had and just continue building up new skills that DreamSF provides.
Absolutely. And I think I do want to give a shout out to like the host sites and to the DreamSF team. I think it was like a recurring thing in everyone's answer that like I think everyone's supervisors and the coworkers we've met at our host sites and the folks here at OC like have been a huge help in just developing us as people, as professionals, our skills. I know that I'd be lost without Val, without Rich. Shout out to Diana too, and shout out to my supervisor at Oasis. But yeah, I completely like agree with all your answers. I thought that was great, and I sort of, as we come to the close, I want to sort of take this opportunity to turn it to the audience almost and ask, when you think of DreamSF, who is this fellowship for? Who would you recommend it to? I know in my mind, I'm looking at, the next person who's just interested in connecting with this part of themselves that I think, especially now, we're being told to quiet it down, to make it disappear, to not make it known, and to not embrace it. And I feel like that's something that I will always reject. So I know that as we're opening recruitment for the next cohort, I've been keeping it in mind all the folks who I've seen feel like belittled or like their status or their life as an immigrant is a reason to deny themselves a chance. And so that's who I would recommend this to. But who would you all say, like, hey, open up that application, don't be scared, there's support, you can do it? Starting with Ana Maria.
Yeah, definitely the community aspect calls me first. I think someone who is seeking to either strengthen or like create an undocumented community, um, that is my main recommendation if you're really seeking to build or create that community. And also just if you're looking for professional development or just to explore, I feel like given our status, we're not really given the privilege of being able to explore different careers, but also being like open to whatever opportunity you gain access to. Yeah, I would say someone who's open, curious, and looking to build community, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to continue with that answer. I feel like if you're an immigrant student or just an immigrant here, point in San Francisco area, and you feel like after finishing school, there's like no other place to go if you don't have status. This is definitely the place to start. This is definitely something that you can get into and that is going to help you and give you also knowledge about that you can actually work in what you studied, and you can actually experience and also like be curious to know that there's other fields and there's other ways, that you do belong here. You're not a stranger to here, because I know that's definitely how I felt when I was younger and going to school in San Francisco and wanting to apply for a certain scholarship, wanting to keep on studying, and having all these barriers that stopped me from doing that just because I was an immigrant student. Just let you guys know that that's not the end and that it gets better. I had to go back to Mexico to actually finish my career and finish my studies. Destiny brought me back to San Francisco, but now I don't have the same mindset that I used to have. Like, I don't belong here. Now I want to have, especially with DreamSF, now I have that community of belonging. So if you're definitely somebody who's trying to find a community, just a community period to like connect with, and also if you want to have some work experience and explore new fields of study, maybe you finish studying but you don't know if that was what, at the end, if that's what you expected, and you're in this like period of time where you want to discern if you want to keep doing what you studied for. Maybe there's other fields that you're interested in. So if you're in the San Francisco area, and if you meet all the requirements for DreamSF, just go for it. Go for it. Don't hesitate. You are definitely not going to regret it. I know I didn't.